Hey there, welcome back. In case we haven't met yet, my name is Bea and I love to code the heck out of Squarespace and teach other designers how to do it too. Today we're going to be tackling a very specific issue. We're going to be looking at how we can shrink down the height of Gallery Slideshow Reels in 7.1 on mobile. If you've worked with this type of section before, you know that depending on the height that you give it on desktop, things can be a little bit too tall and occupy too much space on smaller devices. So if this is something that bothers you or bothers your client, today you're going to find out how you can fix it with very little CSS. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started. Okay, so here I am in Squarespace 7.1 and I have a gallery reel inside this section of my page. So just in case, if you're wondering which one is the gallery reel, you can see in here that I have edit section, gallery type, I have this set to slideshow reel, so this is the one that I'm referring to. Now, if you worked with this section before, then you've probably noticed that if you have like a fairly large, sort of really immersive gallery on desktop, the problem is that when you go into mobile view, the height of this section is fairly tall. Some clients don't really like having this very big gallery on mobile, so let's go ahead and modify its height. Now, the first thing that we need to do here is find out how Squarespace is setting up the height in the first place so that we can modify the same thing. So if we take a quick look here inside the Inspect Element tool, you're going to see that right now I just landed on an image element. So what we need to do here is basically look at the right side to see if there's a height value applied that has like a specific pixel size or viewport width or viewport height or anything like that. So in this case, we can see how the image itself, it just has a height of 100%. When you see height of 100%, it means that it's taking on the height of a previous container. So we already know that this image element is not the one that is setting the height. So let's go ahead and keep going. So here we have gallery reel item source. This one has a height of 100%. Again, this is taking on the height of a parent container. So let's keep going up. Here we have gallery reel, item wrapper, same thing, let's keep going. This one has a height of 874 pixels. So this gallery reel item may be the one setting the height for the whole thing. So the way that we can figure this out is basically by modifying the height. So let's go ahead and try it out. I'm going to target this container gallery reel item like so, and we're gonna modify the height of this and just set it to, I don't know, something else, like 100 pixels or something. And we need to set the height of this to important because you can see how it's set all the way up here, which means that this is an inline style. That's why we can see it here inside the HTML. And that just simply means that we are going to have to use important in here to be able to override that value. So if I set this to height 100% and then do like a quick tug here, you can see how the image itself sort of shrunk down, like the space the image occupies sort of shrunk down, but it's just looking cropped and there's like a lot of height in here. So it's very unlikely that this is the thing that is modifying the height. So let's go ahead and remove this and keep going. So let's go back to where we were. We were at this gallery reel item. So this one apparently is not the one that's setting the height. So let's keep going. We have gallery reel list. So this one has a height of 100%. Nope, parent container is setting the height. So let's keep going up. This one, height 100%. Nope, let's keep going up. This one, gallery reel. All right, I think we hit the jackpot here. So you can see how on the right side, we have a height of 70 viewport height. Now this is a pretty specific height. It means that it's going to be covering 70% of the height of the screen. And so what we need to do here is basically modify this to see if by doing so, we're going to be able to resize everything else within this gallery reel. So let's go ahead and target this one through this class of gallery reel. And let's just go ahead and modify that height. So let's set the height to something like, I don't know, maybe like 30 viewport height. And then here, once again, because we have the code, like the original style has been set as an inline style, that's why we can see it here because it's inside here, inside the HTML. Then we need to use important to be able to override it. So that's what I'm gonna do. And then once we do that, we can see how everything apparently shrunk down. So let's go ahead and do here a quick tug. And now you can see how the gallery reel is much shorter than it was before. So we definitely hit the right container in here. Now, of course, if I were to look at desktop again, you can see how now the height of the gallery here also changed. And that's because we're not really using a media query to be able to tell the browser that we only want this change to happen when we're on mobile. So let's go ahead and set that up. I'm going to go ahead and go back to mobile. And then I'm going to set in here a little media query. Now here you can decide when you want this to happen. I'm just going to be using a pretty standard breakpoint for Squarespace, but you can go ahead and play around with your window width to decide when you want this height to change. So I'm going to go ahead and set this max screen and max width. Let's use 767 pixels. Like so. Just gonna format this a little bit better. And now you can see how the 30 viewport height continues to apply to this small screen. But now if I go into desktop, you can see how this one is much taller than it was before. So it keeps using the same value that I have applied through the settings of the gallery. And now the last thing to decide in here is whether you want this customization to apply only to this particular gallery across the site, or if you want to apply it to all gallery reels across the site. Now, I personally am going to leave this as a very generic thing, so I want any gallery reel that I have on the site to change to a 30 viewport height once it hits that 767 pixels breakpoint. But if you wanted to make this specific to one particular gallery on the site, then what you can do is go ahead and look for the data section ID and include it in here inside your selector. Let's go ahead and take a look at the final result here so you can see how we have a very large gallery happening here. And then once we hit that 767 breakpoint, you can see how it sort of shrinks down a lot more to hit that 30 viewport height. And so we don't have a very intrusive gallery happening there anymore. And that's it. That's how you can fix Gallery Slideshow Reel sections on mobile and 7.1 when things are a little bit too tall for your taste. If you found this tutorial helpful, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on future content, and I will see you next time.